Hi, thanks for joining us for another cinema chat. I am Rosalie Kicks, editor-in-chief of MovieJawn. And for those new here, MovieJawn is a print movie magazine, and every quarter we release a new issue that is focused on a specific theme, and our writers will contribute articles and artwork about films that fit into that theme. Our current summer issue is Cinematic Hotels. And today I have the pleasure of being with the fine folks that are behind the annual CapitolFest. Welcome, guys. If you want to introduce yourselves, tell everybody a little bit about the film festival.
All right, I'm Julie Pierce.
Art Pierce, Executive Director of the Capitol Theater. And this is Janine, if you can see her, there she is.
Oh, hi. Well, I'm really excited to chat with you both about the festival. Can you tell the listeners and the watchers what the festival is and kind of what the focus of it?
It's essentially a 3-day festival. Starts 9:30 in the morning on August 14th. Each day goes, 9:30 till 11 o'clock p.m. kind of thing. So it's an all-day thing with lots of breaks, lunch breaks, long dinner breaks. And during that time, we show way too many movies. We don't really cram them in. That's fairly leisurely, but we show movies mostly. I think this year the earliest is 1914, and the latest is 1939. So we're showing movies from that period. They tend to be things that are, I would say, a little less well known. I mean, it's not Gone with the Wind or City Lights. It's things like Close Harmony and The Homemaker and stuff like that. So it's movies that were probably or likely very popular when they came out, but for one reason or another, they've been just not well known. They're not typically on television. They're not available on home video. So that's the reason why we're showing them, because we think these are movies worth seeing. And so we track them down and show them at CapitolFest.
Yeah, and every year I've noticed that you pick like a star or even a couple stars that you focus on. I was wondering, how did you choose the stars that are this year's, I guess, honorees to focus on their filmography?
We try to look for people whose careers bridge the silent and talkie eras, because we show a fair number of silents. I would say our program is maybe 65% talkie, 35% silent. And so we try to find people whose careers started at least in the 20s and go into the 40s, 30s, 40s. Although we don't typically show a lot of 40s movies, but we're looking for people who fit that kind of time period. And Charlie Ruggles we hadn't done before, and he just seemed like a really likely person. I think part of it is that we notice we tend to show a lot of movies that he's in. So then it's like, well, we show all these movies with Charlie Ruggles. Why don't we do Charlie Ruggles? And Skeets Gallagher, same thing. It's people who are popular with people who come to Capitol Fest. They're not necessarily, we have done Gary Cooper and big people like that, but these people are not necessarily of that ilk. They're not really well-known superstars who are known even by, well, I won't say even by casual moviegoers nowadays, because I guess younger people don't even know Gary Cooper, but they're people that are just popular amongst cinephiles and among people who come to Capitol Fest, and that's what we're looking for, people like that. And we like their career, their movies to be varied enough, so it's not just like one movie after another that's exactly the same as the previous one.
Right. I was going to say, I was pretty excited about the Charles Ruggles because he did such a wide variety of films, such like different genres from like, he was in kind of some B movie horror, and then he was in screwball comedies. Like, so I think it'll be a lot of fun.
And if they're character actors, since they're not starring in the movie typically, then you do get a wide variety of genres that they're going to cover.
Do you ever get people asking you to pick certain actors?
all the time. And that's another way we come up with people. It's like, well, a lot of people are requesting. I don't know who did we do last year. I don't even remember now. We did
Last year
Laura
was Zazu
LaPlante
Pitts and Laura
and
LaPlante.
Zazu Pitts is obvious.
That's a very obvious choice because everybody loves her.
Yeah, actually, I was looking up the one film, I'm blanking on the name, but it was basically like a remake of Lonesome.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name too.
Yeah, I'm looking it up because I had never even heard of that. I didn't know it existed, and it ended up being one of my favorites from the festival last
The
year.
Affair of Susan.
Yes.
We had shown that maybe 20 years ago, and one of our loyal attendees, Rich Finnegan, had been after us ever since to show it again. We said, well, we just showed it. Well, this last year we actually did a Zazu Pitts tribute. So we said, okay, well, as far as we can tell, nobody's shown it since we showed it 20 years ago. And we have a lot of people coming who weren't coming in those days. So we'll show it again. And a lot of people said, what you did is that I'd never heard of this movie before. And it was, I mean, it's Universal. So they had the property. So they just remade Lonesome with a little bit more comedy. And in a way, as some people pointed out, it's a little more convincing because neither of the leads are glamorous movie stars. Uh, and they're just like regular people. And so it makes it a little more poignant, I think, in that way.
Yeah, it was quite wonderful. And what films are you excited to show this year? Because I saw at Nitrate Fest you were handing out a flyer with some of the movies that are playing, but are there any that you're really looking forward to?
I think The Girl Habit, which is Charlie Ruggles' first starring movie after doing nothing but support. It just looks like a really good movie. I've been reading the reviews. And it's also got Margaret Dumont in her first talkie without the Marx Brothers. So I think that's going to be fun. And another thing, a little thing actually, we came across this. George Wilman, Library of Congress, came across it because when we were looking for Charlie Ruggles pictures, he said we've got something called Anything Goes Preview. Well, Charlie Ruggles is in that, and this apparently is some kind of exhibitor's reel to promote the movie. It's one reel, 10 minutes, and it just has some of the songs from the movie. And one of the songs it has is the title number, Anything Goes. Well, if you've seen the movie, you know that Anything Goes is not part of it. The movie starts out with Ethel Merman singing just the first line of that song, and there's a chorus, a bunch of chorus girls dressed as Puritans, and that's all you hear of the song. It is never done in the rest of the movie. And I always assumed it must have been part of it and then cut out. And that for television just cut out before it was released because the running time of the print we see nowadays is 92 minutes, which was the exact time of the release print. But according to George Wilman, this has the title number. So it was cut out at some point before the movie was actually released in the theaters, but it was filmed. And it's in this little preview reel. And I talked to people who are big Ethel Merman enthusiasts, and they didn't know this footage even survived. So I think this is the kind of thing we get excited about, you know. After saying that, I hope it's actually in there.
Well, and besides the screenings, what else will be going on at the festival? I know last year you had like vendors set up. Is there any other activities or things going on?
So the dealers room will be back like we do every year. It'll be in the same location as last year, and we actually will have kind of an enhanced dealers room going on because the Capitol secured a very large record collection, which we have been diligently preparing, and so a lot of that will be on sale as well. Um,
Records like
yes,
78s and LPs.
yes.
Lots of 78.
My husband's going to be in trouble. He loves
Yes.
records.
But yeah, for the folks that are coming in by Thursday night, we'll have the opening of the dealer's room. We'll also have our annual mixer, which will be enhanced. We've gotten some support from Cliff's Local Market and DeCastro's, which is a local business. So we'll have kind of a nice chance to get something to eat and meet everybody who has arrived yet, meet some new people, meet some friends that you've met in the past. Um, and then that evening at 7:30, we will also be having our kind of pre-Capital Fest movie. It's not officially a part of Capital Fest, but we'll be showing If I Had a Million at 7:30 p.m.
We do that because when we started Capital Fest, it was 2 days, and then we got people saying, "Well, we get there Friday night. Why don't you have a movie Friday night?" So we started adding movies Friday night, and that kind of became all day Friday. And then people would come Thursday night, and they'd say, "Why can't you do a movie Thursday night?" So that's why we're doing the movie
It just
Thursday
keeps
night.
growing and
But we're
growing.
not going to expand it up
Because I
over.
was going to say it wasn't enough of like the 3 days. They needed an extra
And
one.
it's kind of leisurely because we always do the Thursday night movie digitally. A lot of the stuff we show is on film. But our projectionists are prepping the movies on Thursday night. So we said, okay, whatever we show on Thursday, we will show digitally so we don't add that burden to you folks. And it's just easy. It's a movie we've all seen, so it's not like there's any pressure about is it going to be a good movie or not. We know it's going to be a good movie.
Right. And if people miss it, they're not upset. Um, Now, where do you get the film prints from? I know you get things from Library of Congress. Are there other archives that you use?
Oftentimes we get film prints from UCLA. We're not getting any film prints from them this year, but we are getting something digital. Like you said, Library of Congress. Get a lot of film prints from Universal. They have a pretty large collection there of Paramount and Universal movies on film. Let's see, who else are we getting prints from? Oh, BFI, British Film
Yeah,
Institute this year.
for the first time.
I've never gotten anything from them before because the shipping is really expensive. But we're showing two movies from them, and they just came. That as far as we know, neither of these films were ever released in the U.S. So we don't think there's ever been a screening of them here before. And the folks at BFI have acknowledged that they have not loaned these prints out for screenings in the U.S. before. And one of them was one of those quote quickie movies. They did in the 30s because a certain percentage of movies had to be British produced. So Warner Brothers, in this case, made a movie called Mr. Satan, and it has a tribute star Skeets Gallagher in it. And another one is a musical. It is called, what is it called?
Raise the Roof.
Yes, Raise the Roof with Betty Balfour, who was a huge star in England. And this was actually recommended to us by one of our organists, Dr. Philip Carley. And he says it's just as good as the movies they were making in Hollywood in those days. But it's not well known because, like I said, it was never released here and apparently never shown here. It's Betty Balfour and Maurice Evans, of all people.
Interesting. That sounds fun. Um, and I was actually going to ask you, you'll be having the live music again with the silent films?
Yep, we have four organists. Let's see, Dr. Philip Carley,
Ben Modell,
Ben Modell,
David Peckham, and Brett Miller.
Brett Miller's the new guy. We've never had Brett Miller here before.
Capital Fest debut.
He was heavily recommended again by George Willman, Library of Congress, who heard him play Captain Blood.
Yes. I was going to say, Brett Miller plays quite a bit here local in Philadelphia. I've seen him a few times. He's excellent.
He's from Philadelphia, I believe.
Tell me a bit about the theater. I obviously I was there last year. It's beautiful. When was it built? Like, how long has it been open?
It was opened December 10th, 1928, and opened specifically to show movies. We were never a vaudeville house. There was some what they call unit vaudeville in 1930. Didn't last very long, but we were always a movie house, and the organ was always here. Put in initially to accompany movies, but by the time we opened in December of 1928, most everything had a soundtrack. So the organ didn't get a lot of use accompanying movies. We've actually used it a lot more to accompany movies nowadays than they ever did in the 20s and early 30s. But it's a 1,728 seat movie palace, as they call it, and it's the biggest theater ever built in Rome. This sort of thing was, I wouldn't say it was overly common, but most of the big cities had a movie palace of one sort or another, and a lot of them were built in the late 20s. And we were one of those ones that opened just about the time talkies were coming in. So we opened as a sound house, even though we were construction started when silents were basically all that was being shown. But by the time we opened, there were talkies as well. So
It's a beautiful theater. I absolutely like. I feel like when I walked in, it was just, I don't know, I was overwhelmed because it was just so beautiful. So I'm excited to be back again.
but we restored it to the way it looked in 1939. And one of the things we like to say we do at Capitol Fest is we show these movies in the same type of setting they would have had when they were new. So it's not just seeing the movie. You know, you see it on television, it's one thing. You see it in a modern theater, it's another something else. But if you see it in the actual movie theater, a movie theater of the sort it was conceived to be shown in, it's a different movie. And
Especially knowing that you're seeing a 35 millimeter print with carbon arc projection, and it's not something you can replicate everywhere.
and a lot of people will say, well, it's like, you know, you leave this place, it's like, oh, I was in a time capsule when I was in there. And that's part of what we do with Capital Fest is it's the idea is that you are watching a movie as people would have seen it when it was a new movie. And it's just, like I said, it's a very different experience than seeing it under any other conditions. And if it's a silent movie, you're hearing it with live organ accompaniment, which is another thing that's you just don't typically get these days.
Right, I agree. And yeah, so many times, like actually tonight, I'm going to see the birds at Ambler. And I had only seen that on the big screen probably like 2 years ago. I had only ever watched it on television. And then after seeing it on the big screen, it was like a whole new movie to me. And I find that that happens often after watching something at home and then I see it in the theater. It's like I'm watching it for the first time again because you catch so many things that you didn't see at home. And then, of course, like with the audio, uh, it just makes such more of an impression,
You're also experiencing it with other people, which is a large part of it.
which is something else I enjoyed about being at the festival last year because there were just so many knowledgeable people, especially that we met in the dealer's room when we were set up. So many people extremely knowledgeable about films. It made me feel like I knew nothing.
We get a good mix. We get a good mix of people who are just diehard movie fans. You know, if Billy Gilbert walks on the screen, he's going to get entrance applause because half the people recognize Billy Gilbert. But then you get other people who are like very casual moviegoers, and they don't know who most of these people are, but they're experiencing it. And I think the fact that they're there amongst the other people, they kind of feel what the appeal is of these movies.
Right. Yes, exactly. And you're right. Last year, I know like anytime Laura LaPlante showed up on screen, people were clapping. And it was just, it was fun. It was so
Yeah, and it's
fun.
fun for us because that's kind of the only time that we get to experience being around other people who get excited about the same things.
Right. Right. For me, it was, I know in the one horror movie you showed last year, it was a B horror, but Ray Milland showed up briefly
Oh,
in
I know
it.
which one it was. There was the one with Raymond Land was the flyer who was killed in a train
Yes,
crash.
he was like killed immediately, but people like clapped when he showed up.
One of the movies that kind of put him on the map. He had a good part in that movie. Short, but a good part.
Yes. So it's really fun to see things like that. Again, things that I have never heard of, and they weren't on my radar before. But is there anything else that you want to share about the festival that makes it special or why people shouldn't miss it?
In the last few years, we've also tried to do some programming during the lunch break. So this year, on Saturday, we're going to be having some of the archivists and restorationists from the Eastman Museum come and do a presentation on basically what their role is in the restoration process, which should be really interesting. And then on Sunday during the lunch break, we're going to have a book signing with Rob Farr, who is the author of
Mr. and Mrs. Sidney Drew, isn't it?
yes, yeah.
Oh, very cool. That'll be fun.
And I think one of the things we like to stress And I know most of your people who are watching this are probably going to be more of the diehard cinema sorts. But I think to people who aren't used to seeing a lot of movies and know a lot about movies, it seems to be a little intimidating. 3 days of movies. It isn't. For one thing, you don't have to go to everything. You don't have to go to all 3 days. You can buy tickets to one day, or they're split up into sessions. Friday and Saturday have 3 sessions apiece. So you can buy, a session is basically a double feature and some short subjects. So you can do that, or you can go to the whole thing. And I know if I wasn't a movie person, and I know when I first proposed this years ago, before I was a director here to the board, and they said, "Who's going to want to watch movies for two? In that case, 2 days. Who's going to want to sit and watch movies for 2 days?" And I said, "Well, we're setting it up so you don't have to watch movies for 2 days. But as a matter of fact, some people will come from out of town and they will sit and watch every movie, and that happens as well.
No, and you I think described it well. It is, you can kind of go at your own pace. You don't have to watch every single film. But there were also like a decent amount of breaks, I remember last year, where you could take time to go get something to eat or get a coffee, relax. So I agree. You don't have to go to all of them. I personally do try to go to all of them, but I'm one of the crazy cinephile people.
Well, with people who live locally, we really want to encourage them to just come and check it out. Just come buy a session pass and see what it's like. And I think a lot of the folks who do that end up like the next year coming back for a day or the whole festival.
Right. Yeah. And last year, like a lot of the films I just went into blind. I like that. Like just want to experience it. So I don't even look them up beforehand.
Which is what a lot of people would have had when they went to the movies in 1932. Let's just go to the movies. Don't know what's playing. Let's just go.
Well, thank you so much for chatting. And I know people can go buy tickets online at the website. Is it just capitalfest.org?
It's romecapital.com.
Well, I appreciate both of you spending your time chatting with me about the fest. I'm really looking forward to it, and I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.